Greetings scholars, my name is Wormwood and welcome back to Chinese etymology. Abstract stuff like the cardinal directions is pretty tricky to depict in a logographic system. So let's take a closer look at how the Chinese script solved this problem, starting with the first direction, Dong. Yes, leave all your jokes in the comments please. Dong carries the sense of east as well as host, landlord or owner. We'll get to why that is in a moment. So without further ado, let's do some etymology. It's commonly believed that Dong is a logogram that shows the sun behind some trees, as in the sun rising over the horizon, and by extension the east, since that's where the sun rises, as explained in Xuan, Dong, Dong ye, Cong mu, Guan pu shuo cong ri zai mu zhong. The east, to move, to stir, from mu, tree, and according to Guan pu, from the sun among the trees. This has been the official explanation for millennia. However, as so often is the case, we'll see that the oracle bone and bronze inscriptions contradict the traditional explanation. The earliest form of the character Dong shows neither trees nor a sun. Instead, it depicts a type of bag tied up in both ends. Think of like a piece of candy wrapped in cellophane with the ends twisted. We can compare this character with the early forms of the character Shu, bundle to tie up, Tuo, a type of bag, and Biao, another slightly different type of bag, all showing the same bag in one form or the other. So why is the character for east a picture of a bag anyways? The simplest and most straightforward answer is, as is common in logographic scripts, that this is the result of a pun. Bag simply sounded the same as east in Old Chinese, and after a while the original meaning was completely forgotten, leaving only the new meaning, making a new interpretation necessary, and quite possibly even influencing how the character was written. So that about wraps it up for the etymology of Dong, right? But hold on 1 minute. What about the secondary meaning, that of host or landlord? This is actually an extension of the meaning east. See, in ancient China, seating arrangements were serious business, even more serious than they are at Thanksgiving dinner with your family. And so the host would always be seated in the east and the guest always in the west, leading to east having its meaning extended to include master and host, as well as some hilarious political hijinks between ancient China and Japan. Dong is a surprisingly stable character, and hasn't seen much change over the millennia. The most extreme variations came, of course, from the kingdom of Chu, where Dong was sometimes written like the left half of Chao, likely influenced by the idea that it represents the sun between the trees, and sometimes with an extra line at the bottom, maybe to show that it was the sun rising instead of setting, like in the character Dan, sunrise, dawn, morning. The modern full-form character is identical to the Qin standard, only with the top stroke straightened out. As for the simplified form, like a large portion of simplified characters, it's the standardized form of the cursive way of writing Dong, which we'll see in the writing tips. Speaking of which... Now, Dong is one of those characters that look alright, even if you just copy the printed version. However, it looks even better if you just apply a few general writing rules. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me do a more general video on Chinese writing tips. I've said this before, but in Chinese writing, straight lines equals bad. Blocky characters are ugly and, dare I say it, square. God, I'm old. Therefore, make all the horizontal lines lie at an incline, but preferably mostly parallel to each other, unless you want to be really avant-garde. And the vertical strokes should slope gently inwards. Lastly, the two legs can just as well be written as two dots, disconnected from the rest of the character. The end result will be something like an old hermit's shack that's being kept up by the force of habit alone. Beautiful. As for the cursive, like I said, this is pretty much just the modern simplified form, but, you know, not ugly. So you can apply all the previous rules here as well and end up with a pretty swanky looking semi-cursive Dong. If you want to go a step further, strokes 1, 2 and 3 can all be connected, like so, looking kind of like a fancy capital letter G, don't you think? Again, the legs can just be two dots, or you can write the entire character in one single stroke by continuing from the end of the capital G and drawing a line number 8, or infinity symbol for you math nerds out there. And that's a 10 out of 10 improvement right there. I'm completely biased and I know it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're enjoying these increasingly ill-conceived videos and want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe, or join the Chinese Merchant Guild by subscribing to my Patreon, and stay tuned for more Chinese etymology content. You're all truly wonderful. Until next time, scholars.